Hello and welcome to Flashback, the series where I take a look at classic Flash games and see if they still hold up in 2020. Today we'll be looking at the 2012 game Decision by Fly Anvil. Decision is a top-down zombie shooter where your goal is simple: take back the city from the zombie apocalypse. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see me look at more Flash games. Now, let's get into Decision. So let's quickly go over the technical stuff. The game ran perfectly fine for me. No stutters or lag, and I didn't notice any significant bugs. Basically, the game ran as it was supposed to. This wasn't too surprising to me. I know in my Road to the Dead video, I mentioned that a lot of Flash games do have technical issues due to inexperience or simply due to not having multiple sets of eyes on the project. But since Decision was made by an actual studio, albeit a small one, that wasn't really a huge concern. One thing that was striking to me was the fact that there was very little music. Pretty much everything was minimalistic and atmospheric. I don't think you could even accurately call it a soundtrack. It gave the game this eerie vibe, and I don't know if this was the intention, but it really hammered home the whole lone survivor in a decimated city kind of feeling. The art is also pretty unimpressive. A lot of dark colors, and the top-down nature of the game means that the models are fairly bare bones. The animations were smooth enough, but there weren't really all that many of them. I'm not one to worship graphics in my games. I treat good visuals more as the cherry on top where I can appreciate it, but it's far from necessary. That being said, I was overall unimpressed. As for the story, there's barely any. You'll get a bit of narration at the very beginning and at the very end. You'll also get these diary entries after each mission about living life in the zombie apocalypse. There's absolutely no plot beyond the initial "I'm going to take back the city" declaration at the beginning, and I'd honestly classify it more as establishing the world rather than actual plot. So how about that gameplay? On a baseline level, the first thing I noticed is that your character's movement has a bit of a build-up, but only a bit. This is a pet peeve of mine in these arcadey kind of games. To me, this kind of build-up makes the controls feel kind of sluggish and unresponsive. I also noticed that this momentum seems to reset when you move diagonally, which was really noticeable once you buy the speed upgrades. I'm not sure exactly why it works this way, but it was annoying to have to consciously restrict my movement if I wanted to get around the map as efficiently as possible. You start out with a pistol, but you quickly gain access to a shotgun, a machine gun, and explosives as you progress. There's a bit of randomness when it comes to your shots. They won't always land exactly where you're pointing. While this can be annoying in cases where you really want to keep your distance, it's not the worst system, and I've seen it in plenty of other games. I do want to praise the sense of impact that the gunplay gives. When you kill a zombie, you get these meaty sound effects that just feel so good. I got this visceral satisfaction when I would score a critical hit on a zombie and hear the sounds as the body tumbles away. That was definitely one of the highlights of the game for me. The main system of progression has to do with controlling and building up the 7 city districts. Each district has a threat level, which is representative of how infested it is. When you successfully complete missions in the area, threat goes down, and when you leave it alone, it goes up. You start out by reconning the area. You have to traverse the map, finding 3 locations of interest. Doing this will unlock the 3 new mission types for that district. There's Cleanup, which will simply be a zombie killing mission that will greatly reduce threat, and then there are 2 capture missions, Tower and Factory. These are essentially static defense missions that have an upfront money cost to them. You find the tower or factory on the map and keep the zombies from attacking it while a progress bar fills. Capturing a tower will slow the rate at which threat increases and will also unlock the tower assault mission. Factories will generate passive income, though threat will reduce how much they produce. You can also upgrade your towers and factories twice each once you unlock the engineering skills, which cost money. Upgrades are just more static defense missions. You'll have to ultimately capture the tower and factory in each district and upgrade them fully to complete the game. Doing a capture or upgrade mission will also slightly reduce threat in that district. Once the district's tower is unlocked, you can do the tower assault mission where you just shoot at zombies with your turret. This is a pretty quick mission type, usually only lasting 1 to 2 minutes. It'll reduce threat by 25% as opposed to a cleanup which reduces it by 40%. It'll also unlock any adjacent districts, so you'll have to do these if you want to actually complete the game. From there, you can recon these new districts and take over their respective towers and factories. Once you've fully upgraded the tower and factory in a district, you then want to reduce the threat to 0, and at this point it'll never increase again and that district will be considered complete. As you might imagine, you gotta do this with every district to beat the game. So the core of the game is fairly grindy, but it's not all that long. In fact, when I was playing it for this video, I was kinda surprised because I finished the whole thing in less than 3 hours. I think a big reason for this was that even though there were a bunch of fairly tedious missions I had to do, each one was fairly short. The upgrades really only took a few minutes each, so even though it did kinda drag when I had to do a bunch of them all in a row, the actual time taken wasn't very high. Also, income ceased to be any kind of issue after a while. There are two reasons for this. Firstly, as threat goes up, there are naturally more zombies on the map. Because each zombie kill gives you money, missions start being more and more profitable. In fact, it gets to the point where the initial capture and even some of the upgrades make more money in zombie kills than you spend on the mission itself. Furthermore, factories are pretty OP. As I was capturing and upgrading them, they were producing just so much money. The late stage upgrades for towers and especially for factories are very expensive, but I was making so much money from zombie kills and factories that it didn't even make a dent. I guess I do appreciate that I don't have to grind for money except in the early game, but it was kind of disheartening to see how repetitive it got towards the end. When it comes to enemies, the vast majority of what you're facing are different types of zombies. The basic ones will wander around and try to smack you when they get too close. Some of them will be holding weapons, which will make them hurt. Sometimes there will be rocks and other debris on the ground that certain zombies can pick up and throw at you, which got pretty annoying, but in a damn it I got hurt way rather than a poor game design way. Later on, the zombies will actually get guns. Yeah, I don't get it either. These guys are really annoying. The weapons in Decision all have a little bit of a knockback to them. The zombies will be staggered and in some cases knocked off their feet when they get shot. The same thing happens to you when the zombies shoot you. I pretty quickly realized that the zombies with pistols were a priority target because they really hurt and they never miss. The shotgun zombies, even though their name sounds completely terrifying, weren't that bad to deal with since they have shorter range. I ended up using the shotgun for pretty much my entire playthrough, and even though it's the shortest range weapon, it still outranged them and I was able to manage. There are also boss zombies, which are basically just really big tanky boys. They are a massive sack of hit points, but I found that since I encountered them late into a stage, I could easily kite them through areas I'd already cleared, so they ended up being more of a nuisance than anything else because they really do take forever to die. There are also a few varieties of zombie dogs, but the only real distinguishing thing about them is that they run really fast. In fact, until you purchase a speed upgrade, they move faster than you, meaning you have to actually deal with them immediately instead of outrunning them. On their own, they aren't terribly interesting, but they complement the horde of zombies well. So what do I think? Is Decision, a classic Flash game from 2012, still worth playing in 2020? Honestly, if Fly Anvil had never made Decision 2, 3, and Medieval, I'd probably say yes. But as it stands, I see no reason to play the original Decision over any of its sequels. They all take the good features from the original, fix a lot of the stuff I dislike about it, and then added more content on top of it. Of course, it's not like I hated my time with Decision, but I can't really recommend it when the same company has essentially released the same game, but better, on multiple occasions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Also, be sure to tell me what Flash games you want me to look at next. I've still got my eye on Road to the Dead 2, but I'm willing to hear your suggestions. Follow me on Twitter at Adze Tweets for updates and memes, and follow me on Twitch where I like to stream once in a while. With all that being said, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back.